to Pet Patrol. This is Alan Braslow, your host. Pet Patrol, protector of the pack. I have an interesting group of ladies here today. This is kind of close to my heart because we're going to be talking about therapy dogs, of which I have one for the last 4 years. She started off feral, and at a year-old rescued her out of the desert, brought her home, and now she does all sorts of therapy dog work, good things with hospitals and recuperation centers and things like that. But we're going to talk, let the ladies share with you their experiences. To my left, Peggy and Alma. To my right, Lucia, Koji, and Donna. Koji's the little guy over here, just so you know. So, Peggy, tell me a little bit about, I don't know whether folks have noticed that this is a Great Dane, and I know that you're doing hospice work, which is got to be a challenge. So how did you get into this? How did it happen?
Well, actually, it sort of came about naturally. My husband passed away a few years ago. And although I had him in hospice care at home for the last few months, before that, he was in a lot of rehab situations. And while he was there, I took both of my chihuahuas in to see him. And I realized that sometimes it would take us an hour for us to get down to his room because everybody wanted to see and pet the dogs. So after he did pass away, and he and I had had Great Danes all of our lives.
I was just going to say Chihuahuas
yes,
and Great Danes.
I have a
Well,
Chihuahua
you're
now
opposite
too.
ends of
Yes.
the spectrum.
Yeah, but I knew that's what I wanted to do. I knew I wanted to do therapy work with a Great Dane, and when I got her as a puppy, that was my goal. And it's worked out beautifully. And of course, the amazing thing is I got the perfect dog at the perfect time.
Now she's more than just a therapy dog too. She's a service dog as well. And we're going to explain to everyone the difference between service dogs and therapy dogs.
Yeah. Well, she is also a therapy dog because I actually had both of my knees replaced this year. But before that, I was pretty incapacitated at times, and I had her trained to help me up from chairs, or if I was on the floor for any reason or something like that, or going up steps. I already had her sort of trained for that, and then a friend of mine said, well, I didn't realize she was a surface dog too, and I said, well, she isn't, and you know, that was, duh, the light went on, and so now I had her certified. But yeah, the main difference between a therapy dog and a service dog is that, number one, usually the service dogs are raised by a specific person for surrender to someone who needs a specific dog for a specific purpose. Whether it's a sight dog or a PTSD dog or one that alerts to different kinds of medical conditions. And they are nationally certified and can accompany that person anywhere, on planes, restaurants, stores, any situation. A therapy dog, on the other hand, what she does primarily is just go into situations where people need a hug.
They can pet her.
They can pet her. They interact with her however they would like. But that does not mean, her being a therapy dog, it doesn't mean that I can, as a therapy dog, take her on planes or take her into places where normally dogs could not go.
I know, that's one of the things, because you and I are in the same group, Alliance of Therapy Dogs.
Right, exactly.
Where we have, and I do certifications now for this,
right.
And you know the story, people will come in and they'll say, oh, I want to be able to take my dog on a plane. They say, yeah, I'd like to be 6'9". You know, if your dog is not a service dog.
Right.
If it's a service dog,
totally
yes,
distinct
but
and different.
you know, don't buy the $69 package and think that you can get away with it, because there are those of us who will rat on you and turn
right,
you in.
Exactly.
It's just not the right thing.
Right.
So now, Lucia, you're involved with this project, and Donna, you're involved with this project too. By the way, I hope folks have noticed the difference in the size of these guys. Therapy dogs come in every size. So tell us a little bit about how you two got involved.
Yeah.
In,
well, I'm the volunteer coordinator at Caring Hospice Services, and part of our volunteer program is to provide pet therapy to any patients that would benefit. So there's a very long list of benefits for hospice patients receiving pet therapy, but really I think what we've seen the most is really reducing anxiety and stress and combating loneliness, and just overall comfort care.
yeah, I mean, look at her sitting there.
But just,
there,
you know,
I'm okay, you can pet me.
Yeah, and just, you know, having the stroking of the pet, we know that reduces stress and helps with relaxation. So it's just a really great service that we're able to provide, and it's because of our volunteer pet therapy teams that we're able to provide those things at Caring Hospice Services.
How big a geographic area do you cover?
We cover 6 counties in South Jersey, so everything Atlantic, Burlington, Camden, Cumberland, Gloucester, and Salem counties. We do have other offices in New Jersey, one in Edison, and then we kind of branch out along the eastern seaboard in Pennsylvania, New York, Ohio, and Connecticut as well.
Wow. And about how many therapy dogs do you have participate? And I take it they're not all from Alliance of Therapy Dogs, or are they?
I'm not sure.
Would they be others as other?
I think we actually right now, I think all of our therapy teams, we have 3, so we're only missing 1 here today,
Okay.
are from Alliance of Therapy Dogs.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Good
so
group of people. I've enjoyed working with them over the last few years.
Fantastic.
It is a wonderful group. And of course, we're always looking to add and recruit more pet therapy teams. So if anyone is interested, they can certainly contact us. If you have a pet that you think might be a good fit and are looking for more information on how to get them evaluated and tested, you can always contact us as well. We have those connections
Good.
too.
Great. And Donna, how did you get involved in therapy dog work?
I used to have Chihuahuas, and you know how Chihuahuas could be. Very nippy, very
Except
nasty
for our
sometimes.
guys, right.
Except for the perfect dog.
Yes, except for our
I know
puppy
that
dogs.
feeling.
And then I got her, and her temperament was just so outstanding. And everyone would comment that they wanted to pet her and they wanted to hold her. And I thought she would make a terrific therapy dog. And I got involved with Alliance of Therapy Dogs and went through all their testing. And I'm new at it. It's only been a couple months. But I'm enjoying it, and I'm getting a lot out of it. It's a lot of fun.
The dogs get a lot out of it too. I'm sure you've noticed that.
Yeah.
I mean, we found, like I said, my therapy dog, when I brought Amber home, she was feral. And when she gets her therapy dog, she sees me with the therapy dog leash,
She gets excited.
our 4-foot leash. She just walks up, okay, let's go. I'm in the car, I'm ready to go. She has her whole routine. We actually have her at a couple of places where I don't tell her anything. She goes from patient to patient, and she determines whether or not to sit with them, to stand next to them, and a couple of them that she gets into bed with. And she just cuddles up next to them.
Wow.
She's not as big as Alma, about half the size, but only about 50 pounds, not 100, I guess.
128.
128.
Wow.
So she's actually allowed, they let her climb up there and
I'm
get
being
involved.
very careful about not letting my weight get below hers.
I like that. We're gonna take a quick break, have some more questions for you when we come back. Again, this is Pet Patrol, Protectors of the Pack. Very special show for me. See you soon.
Sub some sizzle. This is the way. The way it's always been. The way it always should be. The way it always will be. Because that's just the way it's supposed to be. Jersey Mike's. Be a sub above.
Simply Gents, located in Marlton, New Jersey, takes care of all your grooming needs, including haircuts, straight razor shaves, massages, facials, manicures, pedicures, and waxing. To find more information or book an appointment, visit us online at www.simplygents.com. The secret weapon of a well-groomed man, Simply Gents.
If you haven't been to Speed Raceway, what are you waiting for? You want to live fast? You want to make every second count? Then grab the family. Round up the guys. Speed Raceway is 100,000 square feet of excitement, whether you're a kid or a kid at heart. Speed Raceway is the place for endless fun all summer long. Log on to speedraceway.com or just get here now.
When it's time for Jersey Mike's to make a really great sub, this is what we do. It's what we've been doing. It's what we've always done. It's what we'll always do. So what are you doing? Jersey Mike's. Be a sub above.
Today's show was brought to you by Alicia Kelly of White Horse RV Center in Williamstown, New Jersey. Alicia is your RV expert. Contact Alicia at alicia@whitehorserv.com or give her a call at 856-262-1717, extension 203. When you think of RV, think Alicia Kelly.
Today's show has been sponsored by Farmers Insurance in Voorhees, New Jersey. To protect your assets and the people you love, call Mike Skoranek, your local Farmers Insurance agent, at 856-336-2553.
We are farmers. Bum, ba-dum, bum, 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 bum.
Welcome back to Pet Patrol, Protectors of the Pack. I'm Alan Braslow, your host. And again, I have Peggy, Lucia, Donna, Alma, and Koji. I'm getting better.
You are.
So, we were talking on the break about the hospice services, and we should dig deeper into that and explain to people how they can what do you do, how do they find you, how do you find them, and tell, really in depth.
Sure. So hospice is a service for anyone that has a terminal illness, and if they let nature take its course, they'll have 6 months or less to live. So they can contact us. Really, our office number is going to be the first line of contact. That's 856-439-0012. It's our Mount Laurel office. And one of our nurses will go through all of the detail with them, the services that we provide, talk a little bit more about our interdisciplinary team, which consists of our RN case managers, our spiritual chaplains, our certified home health aides, our volunteer services, our social workers, and see if it's a good fit for them to be admitted onto hospice and kind of go through a little bit more about the process with the patient or the family member.
And then, at what point do you involve them in the various options they may have, and especially with the therapy dog piece?
Typically, our social workers are the ones that will make that connection and determine if there is a benefit for volunteer services, and then kind of go through the various opportunities, the various volunteer services that we provide, like pet therapy, massage therapy, patient companions, and so on, and see if there's an appropriate fit.
Do you find a high percentage of individuals are receptive to having pet therapy?
Yes, they're in very high demand. So much that we, of course, we need to recruit more folks, especially in the southern counties that we serve. It's a little more challenging to find volunteers in that area.
That's good to know. We were also talking about stories and things experiences that you've had with the doing therapy dog work and in hospice related situations, I guess.
Well, not too long ago, as a matter of fact, I have a patient who is deaf, and Lucia had told me about this situation and said, make sure you take along paper and pencil so that you'll be able to communicate with the patient, which I did. I had pre-done signs, I was geared, ready to go, and I went in and she would not interact with me at all. She was holding onto the hand of her aide and just would not interact with me or with Alma, completely ignored us. So I thought, well, I'll try again. And so the next week I went back, and it was a different time of day, which sometimes makes a huge difference as to how receptive they are. And this was in the morning. And I went in, and she had been cleaned up, and she was lying in bed, and she was sort of drifting in and out of sleep. And so instead of putting her on the spot and trying to make her respond, Alma and I just stood at the foot of her bed for, it had to have been 10 minutes. And I really wasn't paying that much attention to her, except for peripherally looking, watching her out of my eye occasionally. And I realized that once in a while, though, she was opening up her eyes and kind of just looking at us, and then she'd sort of drop back off. And I was just petting and talking with Alma and giving her treats, and she was doing a few tricks and things like this, just to give her something to do and keep her occupied. And suddenly I look up, and the patient, she pulled her hand out from under the sheet and gradually stuck it out on top of the sheet, and then she starts patting the sheet. And Alma saw this and just went right up to her. And so for the next 20 minutes, we stood there, and Alma was being petted. And the coolest thing was the patient had a hold of my hand and was petting Alma also. And every once in a while, she would stop petting Alma and pet my hand. And then she'd go back and pet Alma, and then she'd come back and pet my hand. And it was just, and it was one of those moments, and I didn't really say a word. I didn't have to. Alma did everything. But it was one of those moments that just made the whole thing worthwhile. And the coolest thing about doing this kind of work is I get to experience these wonderful feelings all the time.
That's a good point. I know when I go out and work with Amber, when we do our therapy dog work, I feel better at the end of it.
Yes.
You can tell they feel better at the end of it. They know their job is
Yes,
to
they
make
do.
it's a special. They're special dogs, all of them. They understand what their job is to make
Yes.
people feel better. And I think you had a similar type of experience.
I did. I was in a medical facility, and we were going from room to room, and one of the nurses came up to me and said, can you please come with me into this other room? She said, I have a gentleman I think has to go to the ER, but I'd like you to see him first. So I took Koji, and we went to this gentleman's room, and I went in and put Koji on his lap, and he pet her for about 10 minutes. And I turned around and I looked, and at the foot of the bed, his wife was crying. So I went over to her and I said, are you okay? And she says, he was having trouble breathing, and she said, we're ready to take him to the ER. And she said, now look at him, he's a different person. And he was talking and playing with Koji, and Koji did her magic, and his blood pressure went down, his breathing was better, and she hugged me and thanked me, and it was just a wonderful experience. Who knew? And he didn't go to the emergency room that day.
It's amazing the feelings that you get and the reactions you get from people and how it impacts all of us. The other thing too is as both of you were sharing stories, I was listening. It's not the number of people in a session that you may interact with. It's the quality and of the interaction. I sat half an hour with Amber one time, half an hour with this one little boy, and he just wanted to crawl all over her and hug her, and that's what we did for the half an hour. And it is amazing. You see people's blood pressure come down. You see them calming down. I mean, the effect that they have on us is unbelievable.
They really do.
Now, you came up with this one got me. You said they're the most unique therapy animal that you have experienced.
Oh yes, I actually found it online not too long ago, and I sent it to Lucia because I knew she'd be interested.
We need to bring it down here. That would be great. It's that time of year.
It was at a facility. I think it might have been in Wiltshire or someplace.
Was the owner an S. Claus?
I don't know what her name was. I don't remember. But it was a therapy reindeer. And I'm not talking one of the small deer that we have around here. In comparison, this was a regular Lapland sled-pulling Kris Kringle type reindeer with a huge rack. And when Alma is in close with patients, I worry about her head. It's so big, and her feet. I have to make sure I know exactly what is going on with her. And here's this reindeer walking up steps and with elderly hospice patients, and they're kissing it on the nose. I thought, if she can do it.
that has to be an interesting. Now we know what Santa's reindeer do in the off season. It's that one night out of the year they work and they do therapy work.
I would not be surprised.
Now that could add to the
That's
therapy,
great.
help with the therapy needs you have.
Absolutely could.
Get some of the elves,
I have a nice
and
big
we
group.
get Santa, right?
I'll keep watch.
Well, I've also seen therapy pigs, potbelly pigs that are used
Right.
for therapy, and even though my dog would never admit it, therapy pigs are smarter than dogs, but the dogs will never let you
No.
tell
do
them that, right?
Right.
You know, Alma's already looking away from me like, yeah, right,
Like, how dare you.
I've heard what you've said, and as you can see, but totally ignoring me, like, no, I don't think so. Alma, I'm sorry. What do you think?
Hey, Alma.
No,
She's
I think
really glued to
Alma,
something over
okay,
that
I
corner.
apologize. You are much smarter than the potbelly pig. We'll see what happens. So, other things that you can tell us about the hospice service besides, like, I know we touched on it, but what do you find is the most significant things that people look for? We're going to take a quick break, and then when we come back, I'd like to address that. Make sure people know how to reach you. Some of the things that they may not think of when they call for hospice service, because it's not something you do on a continuous basis,
Sure.
obviously. So you don't always know. But what are the things that they really need to be aware of? We're going to take a quick break for our sponsors. This is Pet Patrol, Protectors of the Pack, and then we'll be back.
Today's show is sponsored by Hargrove Demolition, your demolition experts. Hargrove is a family-owned and operated business right here in the southern New Jersey area, bringing you 45 years of demolition expertise. Hargrove has all your demolition needs, from emergency demolition service to demolition equipment rental. Hargrove is one of the state-approved recycling facilities right here in the southern New Jersey area. No job is too big or too small for Hargrove Demolition. Contact them today at one of their 3 locations.
When it's time for Jersey Mike's to give a sub some sizzle, this is the way. The way it's always been. The way it always should be. The way it always will be. Because that's just the way it's supposed to be. Jersey Mike's. Be a sub above.
If you haven't been to Speed Raceway, what are you waiting for? You want to live fast? You want to make every second count? Then grab the family. Round up the guys. Speed Raceway is 100,000 square feet of excitement, whether you're a kid or a kid at heart. Speed Raceway is the place for endless fun all summer long. Log on to speedraceway.com or just get here now.
When we make Beyond Natural dry dog and cat foods, we start with real meat as the first ingredient. We leave out corn, wheat, and soy. And we own where our dry food is made. 100%. Can other brands say all that? For nutrition you can trust and your pet will enjoy. Does your food go beyond? Learn more at purinabeyond.com.
Extra Innings is the nation's premier indoor baseball and softball training center, featuring indoor batting cages, 7 multi-use tunnels, and training rooms. Extra Innings can provide professional instruction, private and group lessons, and the best year-round clinics. Along with a nationally recognized pro shop that features the latest and widest selection of equipment and apparel, our experienced staff can provide you with the right instruction and help you find the best equipment for your ability and budget. Extra Innings, where the game never ends.
Today's show has been sponsored by More Than Gifts. Come see our new location in Marlton, New Jersey. Not just gifts, but more.
Tell us a little bit about it.
Yeah, so it's really, Caring Hospice provides hospice services wherever the patient resides. So that may be a long-term care facility like a nursing home or assisted living facility, or it could even be in their private home where they may have family members or loved ones that are the caregivers, or they may even have a paid caregiver that's coming in and helping to take care of their family member. So those are the two different locations where we provide hospice services.
And what are the differences? And why would I want to come in rather than be at home, do you think?
Really just because your loved one is still at home. They have the ability to still be in a home setting, whether it's their home or a family member's home, as opposed to being, a resident in a long-term care facility. So it really just depends on where the person actually resides at that time.
Okay, so you have long-term care facilities as well as the ability to go into individuals.
Right, long-term care facilities that we partner with. We don't actually have a location or an inpatient unit.
So you would be a service provider for
Exactly,
them.
yes.
How many people are employed by your organization?
We have about 50 employees in our Mount Laurel office and about 35 volunteers.
Wow.
Yeah.
Volunteer, and you said what, 4 different therapy dogs?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And there's always room for more.
And there is definitely a need for more.
I had some other questions and I almost lost my train of thought for a sec, but I was just thinking, what would you like to see, numbers-wise, of the number of people who are coming in, and how can you help them learn what it's all about? Because you've had some incredible life experiences.
You mean as far as the people that volunteer for it?
Right. What should they know if they want to
I think
get their dog involved in being a therapy dog and involved in hospice care, because it's
of course, the most important thing is the personality of the dog. There's no question that has to be the uppermost thing in anybody's mind. You have to have a dog that not only is well behaved, but will actually connect with people. And I mean in a very personal, intimate way, eye contact and that kind of stuff. But of course, they have to be well behaved. They have to be able to be under control in any situation. I remember the first time that we actually went on a hospice visit, they had been having trouble with their roof in the facility, and they were replacing the fire alarm system. And I don't know if you've ever been in a facility that when one of those has gone off, it is absolutely ear-splitting, and so that everyone could hear it, of course. And we, I guess, were right under one, and it went off, and I think I probably jumped about 4 feet. But Alma she kind of whipped her head around once or twice, but she was fine. She wasn't straining at the leash, she wasn't trying to get away, she wasn't barking or anything like that. And while we were there, within maybe an hour and a half, it went off 4 times. And I don't think I ever really got used to it,
but Alma was doing fine.
She was totally calm, placid, and it didn't matter whether she was with a patient at the time or we were walking around or whatever. She was just totally together, and it didn't faze her in the least. And they have to be able to be calm when carts are going down the halls or, anything that would be untoward happening. The dog has to be able to maintain the calm.
So you found the same thing that I found, and I guess Donna, the same thing. It starts with the dog's personality.
Yes.
If they don't have, you can't teach them personality.
No.
And then I guess it has to be the handler's personality. You notice, folks, that everyone here is calm. We have been in therapy dog situations where the dogs have been calm, the handlers were not so calm,
right.
and you couldn't get them to focus because it's a team.
Yes.
And your whole focus is on your dog and on the individual that they're interacting with. So if you're flitting off in different directions,
right.
It
But
definitely can cause a problem.
The most important thing, though, is to make sure that the dog enjoys what they're doing. And as you mentioned before, you don't have to do much when your dog is interacting with a patient or patients. And it's exactly the same thing, and I'm sure it is with Koji too. I pretty much stand back. I don't really have to be involved that much, unless, you know, I can kind of help the thing along perhaps, but generally speaking, like as you mentioned, she knows who to go to, and of course, although I go into facilities and have maybe one or two patients specifically that I'm seeing there for caring hospice, of course, I see everybody all the time, and she gives therapy to even the people that are working there. Sometimes I think it's more important for them to get it.
Absolutely.
I was just going to say, I know we find the same thing when we go into the nursing homes, that the caregivers, they appreciate having the dogs there as much as the patients do, maybe sometimes even more.
Yeah.
Because if you think about the amount of stress and emotional drain that they go through, it's what you do is not easy.
Sure, yeah. And one of the other things is that there's a lot of really great therapy dogs out there, but not all are a great fit for hospice work. It really takes a very calm demeanor to do this kind of work.
Probably that and odors, because the dog needs to not be reactive to a medical odor. We're going to be wrapping up, but I want you nice and loud and clear, and I want these folks to know how to get a hold of you. The name, the contact information.
Sure.
Go for it, Lucia.
Yeah, we're Caring Hospice Services. Our phone number is 856-439-0012, and we're based in Mount Laurel. And give us a call if you have any questions about pet therapy, about hospice services. We're here.
Ladies, I want to thank you very much. This is, like I said, this is a combination that's very dear to my heart. I appreciate everything the three of you do. It's awesome. We'll see you next time. This is Pet Patrol, Protectors of the Pack. And thank you again, ladies. I really appreciate it.
Thanks so much.
It was fun.
Bye, Alma.